Welcome back to the channel. We are going to be doing a little bit of work today on the motor for the VR4. Now I've pointed this out before previously right on our front manifold where it goes off to the turbo. We do have a crack, as you can see right by my finger here, and this goes back. We'll have to see how far back that goes, and it also does continue down. We're going to remove this manifold off the car and we're going to see if we can weld this crack shut and repair it so that way we don't have to replace it. We're just going to start by cracking and getting all of our lines off of the actual turbo. We got the one on the front, we'll have the one on the top, and then we also have the one on the back side, back right there. And then we also do have the oil return line on the bottom that we're just going to remove. Now that we have all the lines are off and loose, top line is loose and off, and rear line is completely out of there. All the bolts, I just threaded them back in temporarily. So now that those are all broke, we should be able to just take off these top 3 manifold bolts, and then we can drop this whole entire assembly down. Now we just have our main manifold bolts. We're just going to follow along and knock out all of these bolts. Manifold is now off. I have these plugged off with just some paper towels. It does appear that these top 2 left studs are shorter, like they either broke loose or they were cut. They're still able to get a nut on them, so I'm not going to change anything with them. They're going to stay and remain the same. Now we can actually look at our manifold here and see what we have. And clearly by looking at this crack, you can tell it starts right about here, goes all the way down, and it does indeed crack on this weld. It goes all the way underneath through to the other side, cracked all the way up and through this weld. We're just going to start by wire wheeling this section that I want welded up, try to get inside of this crevice as best as we can. Now what we need to do is we need to prevent this crack from going any further and also from connecting, because it almost went all the way around. So in order to stop these cracks, it looks like the best way that I found or that I've searched to do this is we need to drill a hole right at the very end of this. We got some drill bits. We're gonna find an appropriately sized drill bit, not too big, because I will need to weld this closed. Go to the very end, put a nice notch in there to make sure we drill it in the right spot, and then we'll drill that out. Hole number 1, we're gonna flip this over, knock out the other side, and then we can get to welding. I just have the cover open on my welder according to the thickness chart on what the wire and voltage speed setting should be, assuming that this is a 16 gauge steel we're welding, or 1/16 inch, which is pretty common and standard for exhaust material because it's not that thick. We're going to dial our settings into 4 and 4, so wire speed on 4 and also volts on 4. We'll try this out, give this a shot, and if we need to make adjustments, we can do so. We got our first little section done. Hole is all closed up actually pretty nice. We'll hit it with the wheel and kind of see how it looks, but I think this little short section should be good. We'll go ahead and rotate this over and knock out the other sides. I just cleaned this all up with the grinder, so the welds are a little bit neater now, and also removed quite a bit of the spatter. Everything turned out pretty decent, I will say. Before my camera died on me, this is going to be the bottom side. The only thing I'm not too sure of was getting in this back crease right here. Definitely hard to get at with the welder, get a good weld in there. Now that this manifold is taken care of, we are going to pull the other rear one off of the motor as well, so that way we can get that one cleaned up and inspect it. We're pretty much ready and set to go. We'll need a prep and sand, but there's one thing that I do want to do before I do that. Normally there's going to be a ring that sits on top of this lip right inside of here for your manifold. It's called, I believe, a fire ring. It actually was removed, and you don't need to use them. However, this lip in here is going to kind of mess up the airflow a little bit, whether you do have a fire ring in here or not. And it's just a ring, it's all it is. But what we're gonna do is take a set of carbide bits, just get in here, and we're just gonna clean this up and try to make this nice and smooth. We're not gonna take any material off the top. We're just gonna basically get the walls all kind of even. I've been going at this for probably almost close to 10 minutes now. It definitely takes a little bit to get this material out, but we're almost flush and even with the edges. At least we're close. We're just gonna take this off. We'll get this prepped, wait for my batteries to charge up so we can knock out this other ring in here. Hopefully kind of grind this one down a little bit and smooth it out so we can get it looking similar to this one. It's a little bit more open now, so hopefully this will give us a little bit more airflow and might even give us some more gains. For prepping these, pretty simple and easy. I just rinsed it off and used some degreaser. We're just going to be using a red Scotch-Brite to prep this up. The part is now dry, so we'll go ahead, hit this, just kind of do a quick once over. And then once this is all set and finished, we can move on to paint. We'll do the same thing to our other manifold in the rear as well. I have both of my manifolds now strung up on the ladder. Last thing that we need to do to clean these is we're going to use just some surface prep cleaner. We'll give these a quick wipe down, and then for paint, I'm going to be doing the VHT flame-proof paint. We got the manifolds. They are all finished drying up now. I'm just going to remove the tape from everything, get it all off, and then we can go ahead and install these back on our car. I did pick up a complete engine gasket kit for this. I need a bunch of different gaskets because we're going to be replacing quite a few things on the actual motor, and it was just going to be cheaper for me to get a complete overhaul engine gasket kit as opposed to just buying stuff separate for valve covers, plenum, intake, exhaust manifolds, all that stuff. We're going to pull off the exhaust manifolds from inside of here, kind of check out what all we got, and then we'll get these surfaces cleaned up, and then we can slap these back on. I have the exhaust manifolds now bolted in here. It's just super loose. A couple of these studs were missing washers, so I did put some washers on there. Manifolds are now on, both the front and the rear bank. I just have these taped off so I don't get any crap getting in there. A little bit different than stock, just a little bit darker with that paint, but it should help reduce and keep the temps down. When I put this back in the car for a little bit later, I do want to probably make my own custom heat shields. These didn't come with it on it, and I don't really like the way the factory ones look anyways, so I may end up swapping that out a little bit later just to try again keep the temps down as best as we can. What we're going to be doing, working on, this is going to be the passenger side of the car. All these cam seals on the backside seem to be leaking, and it seems like it's actually leaking from all of them. The driver's side, the cam seals underneath the timing belt are fine, which is great because these are actually the harder ones to get to because you got to pull the timing belt off. I'm not going to be replacing the timing belt cam seals because they're just not leaking, so there's no reason to. We're just going to be working on this side, pulling off these cover pieces, getting everything out of the way. We'll need to get the valve covers off and then remove the cam cap that holds on the seal, and then we can get access to it and remove them. I have all the new cam seals right here that came in my engine regasketing kit. This is what they look like. They're literally just a cap, nothing fancy, nothing special to them. Let's get started on pulling off these valve covers and getting kind of some of the stuff out of the way. And while I was looking at this over here on this side, the other thing that I did notice was this sensor looks like it either broke or it's detached or something, because there's a red wire and a black wire, and this black wire is just hanging out detached from the rest of it. And it looks like this goes down into the center here. I'm pretty sure this is the knock sensor, if I'm not mistaken. So that's kind of odd. I don't know if there was a check engine light or not. Definitely something to keep an eye out for if this is going to cause us issues down the road. If we go to put this motor back in the car and we get some type of check engine, it could be related to this. I don't like to see sensors that are like this, but I'm not really quite sure what to do for right now. So we're just going to take a note and kind of leave it for later. We got those two cover pieces off really easy. Just look at all that grime that is acquired right in there. You can definitely tell there's quite a bit of stuff on the bottom side of these, and there's also a little bit of oil underneath these cover pieces we just took off too. They kind of attribute and show the fact that these definitely are leaking, as well as a lot of the side had oil coming down it, and the transmission was wet, and it happened both in the front and the back. Now that those sides are off, we're just going to pop this valve cover off and get these cam seals off, and we should be able to get these in pretty quick and easy. The old caps out of here. We're just going to clean up these areas as best as we can, hit them with some brake clean and a rag, and then we can put our new seals in. And we also do need to add a little bit of gasket Permatex. Right here you can see there's some on both sides, so we'll hit both sides of these, just give it a little dab, and we'll add the new ones in. And we have the cam cap for the front one. We're going to make sure to throw a little bit of assembly lube on the part where the cam is going to actually ride, because we just cleaned it. We cleaned this whole thing, so we want to make sure that this part is lubricated. I just have these on just hardly tight. Last thing we're going to do is I'm just going to take a socket that matches the size and just give them a quick tap to make sure that these are seated all the way in where they need to be. We're going to do that, and then we'll torque these down, and then this will be complete. Set it on. We just need to torque up our cam caps. These go to 14 foot-pounds. There's no certain order, so just make sure you hit all of them. I'm going to torque them to 10 first, and then we'll let them sit for a bit, let that sealant kind of dry a little bit, and then we'll torque them to 14. The rear is all done. I just put everything back together. I am going to be doing a quick repair here to our intake plenum. Now, I'm just in the process of polishing this. I know I didn't show that on video or anything, but what I need to be doing is I need to fix both of these spots right here on the back where the cable bracket goes onto. Both of these bolt holes are stripped. Now, they're an M6 by 1.0 bolt, and I'll throw this in here just to show you. This doesn't even thread or anything, just goes in and out, so it's very loose and sloppy. And that throttle cable definitely had some issues holding. So I did pick up a thread repair kit that I think will work on this. I believe that these are thick enough. We'll have enough material to be able to get one of these helicoil threads in. And this is for a M6 by 1.0 thread. So let's get this out of the box. We're gonna get these drilled out, and then hopefully we can get these in test fitted, so that way we can actually have some threads to tack in for our throttle cable. Everything that we get in the kit, we have the coils, Allen key in here, you don't need that. The correct and proper drill size for these. We have the tap, the piece that threads in the helicoil, and then the punch to break off the tang on the bottom of these. Grab our helicoil. In addition to using these, I am going to be using some Loctite as well. We are going to be using red thread locker because I do not want these to come undone, and I do kind of want these to be glued into here. So we're just going to attach like a little dab of this onto this actual piece before we do go ahead and thread these in. I just have our last piece we need to do. We just need to punch out that bottom tang. You can see right in the middle there that goes across. All right, there we go. I just need to finish up putting back our pieces that came off of the intake plenum. So we have these EGR pieces back here, and then we also have the mass airflow sensor. So we'll pop this in, put our two bolts in there. I do have new gaskets. I am running the EGR block off plates on this. They were already on the car, and they're a pretty good upgrade to do, so you're not recirculating crud back into your car. Manifold is all now set and complete for the motor. Last thing I'm going to show you guys on this is we are going to check the timing belt side. I do want to make sure that our belt, that all the marks on our belt are in alignment and that our timing belt is still in decent condition. Now this was replaced and I do have paperwork for it. It looks like right around the 120,000 mile mark, which you do want to replace these every 60,000 miles. And because this car has like little over 130,000, I think it has like 138,000 miles on it. Just kind of taking a peek at our belt. It appears to be in pretty dang good shape. I definitely believe that it was replaced. You just kind of want to take a look for cracks, dry rot, any damage to the outside. There wasn't like I did pull this cover off and there wasn't really any material from the belt down at the bottom side of this cover. That's another thing to look for. But what we're gonna do is we're just gonna turn the motor over, we'll rotate the crank, and I'll show you how to check to make sure that it is in alignment. Now, if we come down here and take a look at our sprocket piece, you can see, so it looks like there's a roll pin, and if you go all the way around and look at the teeth on this, you'll notice one of them, so in this case it actually is painted, but there's also a little indentation mark on that single tooth, and none of these other teeth on the outside around this have one of those marks. So this is going to be our alignment dot right here on our crank that's going to allow us to find top dead center. Now what you're lining this up with is, probably won't be able to show you too well, but there is a mark on the oil pump, which is behind it, right on the top right. Now these top cams, same idea, just work your way around the sprocket and you're gonna look for a little mark, indentation that looks different. And on this case, it's going to be this one right here. This one has a little indentation. So this is the tooth that we're looking for. And same thing, this one, it's right here in this case. These need to be aligned up at the very top of the valve cover with our little arrows that point. So we got one there. Let's just turn this over really quick. This does take 2 rotations for 1 rotation up here at the top. So if this aligns up and the top ones don't, go ahead and spin this over one more time, do another full rotation, and the top should align up. And you just saw the rotation of me rotating it over. This dot is going to go and fall right in alignment with the arrow there. This one is good there. And then we'll check the front ones. This one's good. And this last one here is also good. Everything appears to be 100% in time on the dot how it should. And then on the very bottom, it's gonna be hard for me to show you because you can't see the one alignment on the actual oil pump. But if you take a look at our white dot, it should normally fall right at about the 2 o'clock-ish position. Timing belt complete, everything looks great. We're not gonna touch anything, I don't wanna screw it up. We just have powder coating the valve covers pretty much on this, cleaning up a few more parts and then getting onto our turbos and getting those ordered. That's gonna wrap up this video. We're making some really good progress on this motor, and I'm gonna be at a little bit of a standstill until it starts to get a little bit nicer out, and then we can finally kind of start working on some paint and body work. Cannot get it in the car until we actually get the engine bay painted. So that's gonna be a little bit of the hold up there. Other than that, thanks for tuning in. Like, comment, and subscribe.